Brooklyn Independent Television.
Hi, I'm Brian Vines. Welcome to Brooklyn Review. Coming to terms with being the victim of a crime can be difficult at best, and the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office is offering support and encouragement to survivors while urging Brooklynites not to be afraid to voice out and report crimes. Reporter Sherry Carabin was listening.
If I do different things, it'll help me move along. But it's something I really can't get over. It's getting better, and I hope that closure will come one day.
Sylvia Singleton is talking about the murder of her 37-year-old son Tyrone. It was back in December of 2003, but Singleton recalls it as if it were yesterday.
He was found in his apartment, bludgeoned and almost decapitated. What happened? He was killed for greed. Some friends of his insured him for $1.3 million and killed him. He tried to get rich, but it didn't happen.
While her son's wife is doing time for the crime, the case has not yet been closed. In the meantime, Singleton is trying to find the strength to heal and carry on with her life.
I do a lot of praying and keep myself going,
On April 20th, she attended Brooklyn's first ever Crime Victims' Rights Voice Out, or Victims on the Impact of Crime event.
I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive.
It took place at Borough Hall, creating a standing room-only crowd inside the ceremonial courtroom. It was timed to coincide with the National Crime Victims' Rights Week, with the goal of giving survivors and their families a chance to come together and share their experiences.
This event was created because we did not have a crime victims' rights event in Brooklyn that celebrated Crime Victims' Rights Week, and we thought it was really important for the residents of Brooklyn to have something in their home, in their community, in their borough, that celebrated them and that really recognized Crime Victims' Rights Week.
I love you. I need you to survive. I pray for you. Pray for me.
Brooklyn Community Pride Center co-sponsored the event, partnering with Brooklyn Borough President Marty Markowitz and the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office to get the message out.
I think for crime victims to come together and to share in their experience and their strength and their hope, and to have that time to see that they're not alone and to be able to talk to one another, and for us to really celebrate their resiliency and their journey to healing, it's vital. It's crucial.
Senior Assistant District Attorney Mark Fleedner, who is also a Brooklyn Community Pride Center board member, was one of the key organizers.
My background is in sex crimes and child abuse, and now I'm doing homicides, so the whole concept of the survivors being on board for everything you do, knowing what's going on, has always been part of my career, and now working with the families of homicide victims, it's so important.
Although the event was designed to promote healing, it was also about raising awareness and encouraging victims to come forward, especially those who are reluctant to report crimes, as is too often the case in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community.
People are afraid to come out, people are afraid to be outed at work or in their communities, and people are afraid to come forward. So to have someone speak about these issues is really important, and to be included at an event like this in the wider community, I think gives some visibility and makes it more acceptable to come forward and say, I might need some help too, I might be a survivor. This might have touched my life in some ways.
Brooklyn District Attorney Charles Hynes received a very special tribute for his more than 20 years of service and many efforts to combat domestic violence, with New York City musical theater composer and educator Stephen Fisher using the evening to debut his choral piece entitled "They Are Here," which he dedicated to Hynes. The piece was inspired by the true stories of survivors, including the DA himself, who is all too familiar with domestic violence.
I grew up in the nightmare of domestic violence, and I remember when my mother finally got the courage to complain how she was mistreated by the police. She went down to the DA's office here in Brooklyn and was told if you didn't get so excited about your old man having a few beers, referring to my father, you wouldn't have this problem. She was sitting there with a black eye. Victimization is something I live with, and I never had really a good opportunity or a substantial opportunity to do something about it. And then when I was privileged to become district attorney, I began the first domestic violence bureau in the country. It remains the only one in bureau size.
Organizers are hoping to make tonight's Voice Out event an annual tradition, with the goal of increasing the numbers, perhaps to the point where they need an even bigger venue than Borough Hall. Reporting for Brooklyn Review, I'm Sherry Carabin.
Brooklyn Independent Television on the BCAT TV network.